Well, welcome back to Lucore Automotive Services. Today we're going to fill this engine bay back up with a new engine and new trans, CVF pulley system, headers, dual exhaust, and probably a fuel injection system. So if you want to see what I do with this thing, stick around. Should be entertaining. Well, I got a couple other things done. I'm going to spend a little bit of time getting this 360 roller cam engine ready to replace this 318 and this Barracuda. So let's see if we can get the engine set in the rails. I have a new set of headers for it. Let's get those unboxed and see how they look. Alright, let's test fit it with some header bolts. I'll have to check and see. I think this header goes maybe through the steering? I don't know. It's got a big spot on the driver's side, so we'll have to figure that out. I don't know. It's going to be tight, that's for sure. I'm going to actually pull the engine up out of it, put the headers on it, drop them down in. It looks like the driver's side header actually goes, the steering goes through it. So we're going to see how these fit. See what we have to work with here to make them fit. But once the headers are on the engine and the engine's in the car, I think we'll be good to stab the trans up in here and start figuring out what we need to figure out to make everything fit, make our exhausts. Man, that is a monstrosity of a steering gear. Let's drop that steering linkage out of the way. Well, this is the first one I've ever run the steering system through the header. That's a new one for me. I just did this old 68, 69 Lincoln over here the other day. It turned out looking pretty good. This one was a pretty intricate build. Got to avoid the steering system. Just got to avoid the shifter mechanism. Part brake cable, 90 degree, up and over the axle, out into a secondary muffler, and then a 304 stainless tip, and the same thing on the other side. Basically like building two exhaust systems. But it turned out good. It's nice, high and tight. As this thing sits on the ground, it's aggressively statically lowered, so it needed to be up super tight to the chassis. I think I'll be happy with it. Turned out looking pretty good. Well, let's mock the transmission up in here. I have pretty good contact here. I may just have to massage it, we'll see. My header actually needs to go back a little bit more, but I'm off on my motor mount on this side. So I figure let's get the transmission sitting in so that the engine's sitting at the pitch that it's going to be at naturally. And then we'll figure out what we need to massage on this header. Once we get it fitting correctly, we'll take it all apart and we'll figure out what we need to do on the passenger side. And then we'll go forward from there. These headers are supposed to fit everything, basically everything from Chrysler from 1966 all the way up through the 1994 Dakota. So talk about good usage of interchangeability. was going to be loud. It was. Alright, so this header is hitting our steering box right in this area. So I'm actually going to dimple that in, basically heat it up and dimple it. It's also really close to the drag link right here. So I'm probably going to put some clearance in there as well, but I'm going to work on this one first. I also realized I had forgotten to check to make sure that my bolt flange fits correctly, so I'm going to do that real quick. And that just consists of bolting the header up to the engine while you have easy access to it to make sure that all of your bolts or all of your bolt holes align up, and when you have to do this in the car it won't be quite as painful if you have to pull it all back out, because you then find out that the holes aren't the correct alignment. It's usually frustrating. I'm glad I went and checked this stuff. So this gasket, you see on that bottom right corner, is going to have an exhaust leak. Right there. If I move it back, I can't move it back that far. Move it all the way back, it's still going to leak. So I need to get a different exhaust manifold gasket. I may have to fill this area in on both of those corners to get a better gasket seal, because of the way these ports are dog-legged. Alright, so in checking the header to the engine, this header bolt, even when I pull it all the way over, is not quite aligned up, so we'll elongate both of these outer holes, and then all of our holes should line up and all our bolts should fit. So I have a different set of gaskets ordered that are going to work with this dog leg a little bit, and then I'm going to probably weld in this area here to close it off to make sure I get good gasket sealing, because I don't like leaking exhaust manifolds. So that's going to add a little work to the process, but it'll make a better end result, and that's what you want. Alright, so I saved all this money on these stainless steel headers only to go backwards. So I elongated this hole outward. I elongated this hole outward. But this hole here, I'm going to have to massage the inside of the pipe here to give me proper clearance for my bolt. So, and I'm going to guess I'm going to have the same problem on the other side. But at least 5 of the 6 bolts fit now. Basically I'm going to heat up this inside area and push it in so that I've got hopefully enough room for the head of my bolt to fit in there. And then I'll have to put the header on, slide it on, and then put in the other. That'll have to be the first bolt that goes into this with it sitting in the car. I haven't started on the other side yet, but I am definitely going to check my fitment. These 2 holes on both heads go into water ports, so we'll have to put a thread sealant on those bolts that had studs, but I don't think I'm going to be able to use the studs because of how tight the fitment is on these. So we'll use a head bolt sealer on the header bolts when we install them, and probably some Loctite. I mean, they look to be good headers. It's just, you know, they're just not as good as they probably could be, but the ones that bolt on and work perfectly are usually $1,000 or more, and these were nowhere near that. So I knew we were going to have to make some modifications. I did change, I worked the header tube here in to give me some clearance for the steering gear. So now That guy might need a little trimming as well. I might need to go down on that one to make it fit. Get the bolt to fit. So I'll enlarge that a little bit and then give myself some extra indent. That's hot rodding, guys. Not everything fits. That's why you want to check fit. Welding all this stuff up like I'm doing would not be fun on after it's been run and those headers are full of carbon. Alright, so a little bit of grinding. I elongated this one. That one's okay. That one's okay. That one's okay. That one I notched so that I have more clearance for the head of my bolt. And that's the first bolt going in, because you can slide the header onto it and then wrench it in from there. And that one fits. So this header now fits at least the bolt pattern. So I'm going to work the bolt pattern on the other header and get it so that it fits up. And then we'll work on building in the lower parts of the header flanges so that we get a good seal, because the last thing I want to do is deliver this car and then a month down the road have to tear it all back apart because it's got an exhaust leak right here and the same on the other side of the car. So we'll build these headers back up on the inside so that we know that we have good gasket contact and good exhaust sealing, because exhaust leaks are the #1 cause of a fuel injection system not working correctly. And if you haven't addressed small things like these, the way these gaskets fit, you're never going to have a fuel injection system that works correctly. Oh my lord, the mosquitoes are bad today. I'm going to have to bathe myself in off the next time I decide to come down here. Whew. Man, my legs are on fire. Header. So this one's looking pretty much the same as the other. The way this header tube rolls over, I'm probably going to have to dimple that guy. And he'll be the first one that goes in. Mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes. We're going to have to elongate that one. And we're going to need to take that one up. We'll take both of these outers out just like we did the other side. Put a dimple on the inside tube, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so I elongated forward and up on the front one. I elongated backwards on the rearward one. I'm going to heat this tube a little bit right here and use my air hammer to indent, give myself a little extra relief for the head of the bolt so that it can engage all the way over. I want that thread to be able to hit the entire gap. You skeeter. Ugh, hate those things. And then you can see right here where the dog leg is actually built into the header tube here, but it's not on here or here, which is a problem because we're going to end up with an exhaust leak there and an exhaust leak there, which is going to make our fuel injection system not know how to control fuel, which is probably 90% of the problems with fuel injection systems is exhaust leaks and basically technician installed problems. So I'll build this back up with the welder. And then I'll plane, oh, it's going to be, it might be difficult to plane that. I have a planer I can use. We'll have to see if that's going to work or not. I might have enough room to get it onto the sander, sand it flush. The biggest thing is just getting contact onto the paper, so we'll see what we can do with that. But let's make sure the bolts fit first and then we'll move forward. Alright, so this one, I'm actually going to have to indent both outer tubes, so I need a little clearance for this bolt. Then I need a little clearance for this bolt, which will give me a little forward and back movement. This one's kind of binding. It's going in, but it's binding on the tube from the shoulder. So I'll hit that guy, give him an indent, and then our bolt fitment will be good. Then it'll be time to work on our flange gasket sealing surface, which is going to be time consuming, but worth it in the end. Alright, let's get this thing back off of here. We'll make our indents. That might be all I need. Just a touch. Do the same thing over here. Oh, come on. Beauty. That'll work. It's hot and I'm getting eaten alive, so I'm gonna go buy some off and probably weld these header flanges up in the morning. But I have them both fitting really nice now as far as the bolt patterns are concerned, so that's a plus. Get these things to the next step, which once they're all filled in and clean and I'm confident of my gasket sealing, I think will be good to install them, and that'll probably be the last time I have the engine out of the car, although that's famous last words when you say you think you're close to being done with something. You normally have to do it 2 or 3 more times. But that's building cars, man. It takes time. Sometimes things don't go the way you want it to. It's hot. The gas is turned off. Got a couple things done. Time to go home and relax. You guys have a good night. I will. Well, you'll see me before I see you, and I'll be back here in the morning. Alright, so I filled them in. Now I got to grind them smooth, contour them. It should help me not have an exhaust leak down here. That's still warm, so we'll let that cool down. Alright, I'm going to drop this engine back in the rails. I've got my headers built up where I had my shortage of material. Went ahead and set this one down in here around the steering linkage, and we'll see if my adjustments will allow that header to fit now. Alright, so I have my cross member on where it's going to be, and my transmission where it's going to be, and my engine where it's going to be sitting. But I still have an air gap on my engine mount. So my header tube is still hitting Mr. Steering Gear. So I'm going to see if I can make a mark there to expand my relief so that I have more clearance. And it looks like my rag link is going to hit as well. So we'll make a mark there. And I've already got a mark on the other side. And we'll make an indent on that. So we get to take this all back apart and do it again. And then we get to do it with the other header in as well. Figure out where we have to modify it. And then we'll be ready to hopefully leave the engine in the engine bay after all that.
Bugger.
Nope. Hey! That sounds better. Alright, so we're in on our saddles. And I still need to make that header tube go a little bit more. So we'll pull it out one more time. And hopefully that'll be the last time we have to pull this header tube out. I bet this fits really well with a manual gearbox. Ooh, I'm gonna have to probably make an adjustment there too. Might as well go ahead and do that while I'm thinking about it. One more time. Maybe two. Let's see if we can get both headers to fit this time. That one's gonna stink to get in. I almost need to put a bungee on it. That might actually be the trick. You won't let me go overload, what are you doing? Stink. So now I've got contact here, so I need to clearance this header tube. And I think that'll give me my room I need over there to get my header on the other side. It just will not let me fit in there the way I need to. But let's see if I can get 2 bolts on this header just to hold it so that I can get the engine at its proper ride height with the transmission in, so I can verify that I need to clear that other spot. Alright, so I got a couple bolts in each header. You can see my gap opened up over here because the engine's being pushed this way because of the header tube to fender well contact. So we're going to figure out the best way to solve that. Could do it a couple different ways. We could probably cut this bubble out of the unibody, but I'm not going to do that because this isn't a race car. This is a street car, so we want it to look good, and we don't want to hack it up with saws and drills if we don't have to. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to heat and beat my header tube into submission. Provide me the clearance I need. And it's going to be sitting up higher, so let's get the transmission in it one more time so that I can make a proper idea of where I want to put my indent on that tube. But we're looking pretty good. gravity. Butterfingers. Nope, still hitting that header. So you can see I need to clearance our header there. There. Which is pushing the entire engine over. Which is giving us an air gap on our engine mount again because our engine's over too far. I've got good clearance there now. My clearance up there should be good on my rag link. And up here on my steering gear should be good once we dimple the other header. So back out of the car one more time. Hopefully this is the last time. Let's make a couple marks on that. Well, I'm still massaging the header tube for this, but it would be perfectly fine to cut this section out and just leave it gone. The upper control arm bushing rides in that area, so you would probably still need to clearance the header a little bit. And honestly, since the header tube's hitting that, I probably wouldn't want to remove that because it's going to keep the heat away from my upper control arm bushing coming off of the header. So, you know, we'll definitely leave that in there on this one. On a race car, might try something different, but it would depend on the application and what kind of bushings you're using. But the tubes are looking pretty good. I think this is hopefully going to be the last time I have to pull that engine over the rails. Well, I was feeling confident that I was where I needed to be, and this side's looking really good. Got good clearance on it now. Not hitting anything on the sides, but I'm still elevated over here. And I may actually make a couple 1/8" shims to pick the nose of this engine up. I have plenty of room to do so, and that'll reduce the amount of tube modification I need to do. And it may actually get me where I need to be over here, bring it up 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch in the front, and I'll still have a really good driveline angle. But I'm done for today. Barracuda 1, Rich 0. I do not have a win on the headers yet, but it will come with time. Probably pull it out one more time tomorrow and make some shims, and hopefully I'll be done fitting these headers. That'll be the end of this portion of 1968 Barracuda Repower. I'm looking forward to hearing this thing run. We do have a fuel injection system coming for this, as well as CVF belt drive system is also going to be going on this. So, with plans for air conditioning in the future, so it should work out really nice. It's looking good. I like the finned valve covers, and the black on the yellow looks really good. Well, anyway, click like, subscribe, leave us a comment below. You guys have a great night. I'm going to go home and get some shut-eye. Hopefully come to work tomorrow fresh. See ya!